I married my husband in 2004. I had just turned 21, and I was still in college, a junior at Seattle University. Tom and I make a great team. We're both headstrong, borderline workaholics who enjoy taking risks, arguing, and reading. But for as similar as we are in our interests, we couldn't be on further ends of the spectrum when it comes to our professions. Tom is an infantry officer stationed here at JBLM. I am a poetry instructor and editor. Tom is drawn to economics and business affairs. I am drawn to nonprofits and projects that accumulate no wealth. Tom has experienced combat while deployed. I've spent time publicly protesting the wars that he's fought, sometimes while he's fighting them. We're running at the same speed on different tracks, and that works for us most of the time. But the transitions that Tom's had to go through in the military have also presented some of our greatest challenges in leading a peaceful, authentic life. When service members return from a deployment or change duty stations, military spouses are often expected, unofficially, to provide expertise in a myriad of fields, such as counseling, family, financial planning, parenthood, community resource awareness, and academic planning, academic advising. The average military spouse has dabbled in everything from event planning and therapy to child psychology and intervention. And while the data on veterans and service members' transition experiences is increasing, there's still considerably less research out there to show how military spouses adapt and succeed. I have a master's in writing and a PhD in English. My experiences with reintegration and PTSD have left me feeling unsupported and overworked more than once. I have a secret weapon, though. My mother is a yoga instructor. So where I drowned, she threw out meditation like a raft. And it was meditation that taught me how to use mantras. And there are 3 that I've returned to on a near daily basis in order to maintain not just my sanity, but my grasp on personal identity as well. The first one is, my voice belongs here. Tom's experiences, his transitions in the military have included redeployment and reintegration, but we will eventually, if we're lucky, have to transition through his retirement as well. He's deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan several times, and our reintegration periods have been defined by consistently inconsistent circumstances. For example, when he returned to Fort Carson, Colorado from Afghanistan in 2012, our house was empty. I had moved to New York mid-deployment to start my PhD, and I needed to adapt to my husband being home but not quite home, while he adapted to living outside of a combat zone. This was not easy for either of us, and the military provided little social or structural support for couples choosing to live apart. Tom struggled to get stationed somewhere near my university, and his professional sacrifices often bred resentment toward my own goals as a poet and community organizer. Naturally, I resented his resentment. Not only did I want my doctorate, I wanted to enjoy the process of earning it. I was protective of my work and my relationship with writing. And that caused tension in my marriage. My love for Tom has always belonged in my home, but my voice has felt muffled by the high demands of his job. I remind myself that my voice belongs in my life and in Tom's. Each time I say my voice belongs here, I'm unearthing the very sound of it. And my voice has such range. My voice is angry and joyful and nervous and decisive. I remind myself that my voice belongs here sometimes several times a day, where I am. Which brings me to the next mantra, which is be where I am. Most military spouses are acutely aware of what it means to feel lost or unknown, dropped off in a new city where the primary expectation of them is to keep it together. But what does that look like? Working, staying home, tuning in, tuning out. At every duty station, I have felt overwhelming, albeit well-meaning, pressure for military spouses, most of them women, to seek comfort wherever possible and appropriate. While my training as a writer has taught me to suspect this practice, to seek out what is uncomfortable and unjust and write it, share it, and engage it on a broader community level. Before I had my master's, community engagement for me looked like a Craigslist ad, touting a new writing group that I wanted to start up in Vancouver, Washington, Anchorage, Alaska, Atlanta, and Columbus, Georgia. I needed to be part of a community where I felt creative, productive, and also heard. And I did. And people came, and they wrote poems, and some of them were military spouses, and some of them weren't. As a grad student and a college instructor, community engagement started to look like teaching free poetry workshops on and off post, writing and publishing my own poetry, researching violent conflict, and launching Collateral, the literary journal where I could publish other people's voices who are also concerned with the impact of war. I have to admit, though, this is the mantra I struggle with the most. Though I tell myself to be where I am, it often sounds like more of a wish than a belief. I am often not where I am at all. I'm in my past, or I'm in a future that I can't control. But these missteps come and go like water moving through a channel. A mantra is a rock standing up in the middle of that water. The third mantra is, these are my strengths. It's a lot easier to know where to be in your community if you stand by your strengths. And for the past 15 years, my strength has been in bringing people together through writing. And I can do that wherever I am. If there are people nearby, I can think about how writing might bring us closer together. Plus, I'm unafraid of asking questions and looking totally bewildered in rooms full of strangers, which is probably why I teach. Sometimes it seems that my most authentic self is incongruous with the culture that I married into. I don't always feel like a good fit for the model Army spouse. The preference seems to be steadfast pleasantness. I call this the O-negative spouse, the universally supportive. Get along with as many people as possible. Be resilient. Avoid politics. Accept what is. Be strong. Be supportive. Take comfort. Keep busy. Well, there are people in every city that I am not going to get along with. And I believe every poem is political, and sometimes I am difficult. And I am incapable of supporting Tom because I'm exhausted or pissed off or in complete disagreement with what he wants to do and or why he wants to do it. And I encourage all military spouses to lead their lives fully without waiting. Be alive. Feel each hour. Being apart from my husband is scary. It's difficult. And I miss him when he's gone. I laugh more when he's home. But my strengths are not legitimized by his presence. My strengths are what I carry. My strengths lie in writing, in listening, and in speaking up. These mantras can be remembered just with 3 keywords: voice, be, strength. My voice belongs here. Be where I am. These are my strengths. Thank you.